And go. Hey guys, it's Bruce. Welcome to ConvoCourses podcast. And I just wanted to kind of have an open discussion about what happens to IT workers, cybersecurity guys during a shutdown, because that's what's happening right now. U.S. government, if you guys aren't familiar with it, um, has these like once a year or something like. Well, sometimes, not all the time. During special occasions. And yeah, so if you're not familiar with the U.S., one of the huge issues in the U.S. I got people from outside the U.S., so they might not understand what that means. So every country has problems. Like U.S. is definitely no exception to that. So one of the big issues we have in this country is we have a two-party system, and what they'll do is they'll try to put pressure on each other by by forcing a shutdown by not approving a budget, and that's and it happens about usually like around when they're trying to put some kind of political pressure on the other party or something like that. And now that's happening, right? Of course, because the U.S. is very divided right now. So I work with why this is important to a cybersecurity guys, because I'm currently in this. I'm in this field. I do cybersecurity for as a contractor for a part of the government. So it impacts me. I could tell you like what's happened because I've been through like a few of these. This is not my first. This is not the first time it's happened for me. Like this is probably, man, when I worked in the DoD, it happened a few times. When I worked with NASA, it happened a couple times. So I've been through this probably 5 times. Probably 5 times. Usually it's not a big deal. Usually it's like it might last maybe a week. Like the longest I've seen it last is like 4 days or something, like a week or something like that. Yeah, probably about a week if I'm not mistaken. It usually everybody's kind of all this news goes on about it and about what's going to happen and how bad it is or whatever, and then it ends up being nothing, and they pass on the budget or whatever, they approve whatever, and hopefully that's what happens this time. Best case scenario is that they'll shut it down for like 3-4 days or whatever, well, and they'll be back by Friday of next week. Worst case scenario. There was one time it lasted a really long time. There was a couple times it lasted like a pretty long, like a few weeks. And that was one time I was in the military. I remember it lasted, and they kept talking like, "Oh, you're not going to get paid," and stuff like that. And that was crazy because that was the first time I'd seen it. And you know, it nothing came of it. It was a lot of bluster and a lot of threats and stuff, but nothing came of it. We'll see what happens. Every time I've been in these things, since I've been in security my entire adult life, I've usually been an essential worker. What that means is I'm usually still working. Everybody else is off or whatever, but I'm working. Like when I was in the military, I was a security forces member. So they shut down or not, we still had to do what we had to do. Whether it was on being on a gate or guarding a plane or whatever we had to do, we were still doing it. And then now I'm out of the military, and I'm still doing cybersecurity, and it's the same thing. Normally, I'm doing something that we can't just put it aside. It'd be pretty foolish, and anything that interrupts what we're doing. That's the great thing about cybersecurity. If you're thinking about going into this field, is that it's needed. Even with all the threats of cybersecurity taking all the jobs and all this hype about it and stuff, you know, I'm personally excited about about AI, but some of it's hype, some of the stuff about all the jobs being gone is pretty crazy. And as a cybersecurity person, I can definitely see things changing in real time. But to say all jobs are gonna be gone is craziness. Is crazy talk. It's just not there yet. Like for all the stuff that that is said that's supposed to happen with it, I'm not seeing. My point is, um, cybersecurity is one of those mission essential things that's going to be around. You know what I mean? So, and hey guys, I see you guys popping in slowly. I don't have an agenda or anything. I'm just talking about what I've seen during these shutdowns, government shutdowns. And yeah, so we're going through one right now. And if I had to guess, it'll probably go. This one I think is going to be hardcore. I think it's going to go for like a week or more, and then the pressure is going to start mounting. I say probably a week and a half, 2 weeks, which is pretty long for some people. Like there's workers in the government you really don't want to have, essential or not. People who process paychecks and things like IRS during tax time. Just think of things like that. Or if you're in a season where a lot of the national parks have to have people there because people are going there, something like, think of things like that. Or another one would be right now, like, I don't know if you guys knew this, but just now there was a plane in LaGuardia Airport which was already under strain. Some of those guys are federal workers, and two planes collided. Right, and check the news. It just happened. And those guys are already under pressure. Like, I don't know why you put additional pressure on these guys. I believe FAA, the air traffic controllers are essential workers. So I don't know how much of an impact this stuff has had. I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's had some impact, because me, even as an essential worker myself, doing cybersecurity and stuff, there's talk of them saying, "Oh, we got to figure out who's essential and who's not, so we can let part of the team go, or whatever." And that means some of us won't get paid, and especially me as a subcontractor, I will not get paid. So yeah, is it a concern? Yeah, my last job, there's so much stuff going on with the politics that's impacting the government sector that it made me leave. Like the last place I was at was so much politics and stuff going on. I was like, nah, I can't. This is ridiculous. There's already stuff going on. I don't have time for this, So I was like, okay, it's time for me to get another job. So that's just how it is, you know what I mean? So, okay, let me see. Security expert says American adversaries will be working overtime during shutdown, as the shutdown itself presents a major vulnerability to all American systems. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's something that people don't think about. US being as transparent as it is, everybody knows, the whole planet Earth knows that we're in a shutdown right now. That said, it's a perfect opportunity to people for the adversaries, for people who do not have our best interest at heart, to take advantage of that. So, and he says the resulting attack surface from the shutdown is huge. Absolutely. Because some of the workers that you would normally have monitoring traffic might not be there. Right. And then with them making threats to the stability of our infrastructure, it's not good. It's not good. I'm not sure what the play is here. I don't know what they're trying to do to make us stronger or whatever, but it's not good. But if there's a positive side to all of this, from my perspective as a cybersecurity person, I would say through all the shutdowns I've been in, the impact to me, and I'm not saying this is a good thing, but if there was something I could glean that was positive out of it, from my perspective, is that as a cybersecurity, it's essential worker. If you want to go this route, I haven't been as impacted as some of the other support jobs. Being a cybersecurity person, that's one thing I would say, that if you're interested in this, that's one thing that I could say that I've been employed, like even during shutdowns, whether whoever's in power, because we're doing a service that is, if we're not watching this, if we're not watching the systems, if we're not maintaining the security of the system, real bad things happen. So just neglectful, ridiculous things start to happen when you kind of let the system go. Something that shouldn't. An example would be allowing an end of life software to just fester and just keep on putting it out there and letting people use it, and not paying attention to it, and it has this huge hole in it, and then people can exploit that, and you don't have no plan to fix it. This kind of thing happens all the time. And if you just from not even like a shutdown, like just having people being in place, but just not doing due diligence, not doing what they're supposed to do, and then you have all these systems out there that allow this huge, like security expert said, attack surface, meaning holes, like holes all over your system, allowing people to come in and exploit all of these vulnerabilities, right? That's a huge risk to an environment where you have very important information. And that's one of the things that people don't really think about until it happens. So one of the negative things about cybersecurity is that you don't really get a pat on the back for all the stuff you actually stop. You only get noticed for things that don't get stopped. So yeah, interesting. Even during the shutdown, yeah. It says for sure that's why those parts of the government don't stop even during the shutdown. Yeah. So typically in all the cybersecurity positions I've been in, whether it was at DoD or NASA or even now where I'm working as a contractor, we're still working. Our government counterparts are not working during the shutdown. They're not allowed. That's how it works. Like the civilians, some of the military staff, if you happen to be working around them, they are not working. They Monday through Friday, they're not in, and they're told don't come in. But we, the contractors, if you're cybersecurity, if you're mission essential, you'll be there. Now they might cut. Sometimes they'll like make the staff smaller, like make the footprint smaller and let go of some of us. But our office is still going. Like we still have somebody doing that work and handling that business. So that's how it's been. Interesting scenario. I've been thinking to myself, what can we do, like as Americans? Like, what can we do during these, like with this kind of thing happening, where we literally have civilian, military, we literally have people who will not get paid during the shutdown. If you're a senator and you make 230, 300,000 a year, whatever they make, you're all right. You got money sitting, you got money in the bank, you're good. But to the average civilian worker who's just a GS-9 or something, who's living paycheck to paycheck, what do they do? Like, what do we do as Americans, like as an average person? How can we survive with this kind of level of incompetence and seemingly people who are not empathetic to what's really going on for middle class people? And the reason why I do this channel and I talk to people about cybersecurity, because cybersecurity is one of those jobs that people always going to need in one way, shape, or form. Pray and help each other. And so that's what I want to do, is give people a practical way that they can get themselves something more secure. And cybersecurity skills is one of the things you can do. And it's definitely not for everybody. It's not something you can just pick up and then suddenly magically you're in a cybersecurity job. It takes time, and it's got a huge learning curve, and it's definitely not for everybody. That's not to say everybody, people are not smart enough to do it. It's more like cybersecurity is a little bit different, right? It's not like programming. It's not like software engineering or or mathematics or something. It's more of tenacity. It takes a certain breed of person to deal to have a balance between um, emotional intelligence and technical intelligence, and have a balance. You don't have to be super in the weeds on one or the other, but you have to have like a balance to where you're not thrown off by stress. You remain calm in crazy situations if you're because you might have to be an incident handler where you're handling a, a disaster that just happened and you got to put out that fire. You might have to deal with something where the organization is panicking because they might have they think they lost business or they lost information. You can't afford to panic. You got to get stuff done, right? I mean, there's a moment of stress, right? I'm not saying that you're going to be you know, you're a psychopath where you have no emotions at all. I'm just saying I'm saying you have a certain level of levity, a certain level of balance to where you're like, okay, how are we going to fix this? What are we going to do? And that takes a certain level of tenacity, and some people just don't have, and some people just don't. They're just not there yet, maturity wise. So, and I'm just keeping it completely real with you guys. Cybersecurity is not for everybody. Even super technical people who I've met along the way who are just really brilliant minds, like obviously brilliant people who are very, very good at like coding or very, very good at networking or whatever. I met these people who are like polymaths on really, really good at any kind of technology, but cannot handle stress or cannot talk to people. And they don't normally like cybersecurity because it's too much emotional um, stuff you have to deal with and balance and manage. And so I've said it before. I've noticed that, just an observation. I've noticed like a lot of immigrants, naturalized citizens in the U.S. And a lot of people from the inner cities end up doing this work, cybersecurity. I'm just telling you, for my last 7 jobs I've been in, it's a lot of us. It's doing this stuff, and I realize the reason why is because it takes a certain level of emotional maturity to deal with the types of stuff that you're dealing with. You got to deal with difficult customers. You got to be able to speak to different audiences on their level. You've got to be able to go to the technical person and talk in their language to them, right? And you got to be able to empathize with them. Then switch gears and then go talk to the manager who speaks a whole different language, and then go talk to sometimes a CEO, like somebody, a decision maker who's up way above on the highest top of the food chain. You got to talk to them. And each one of these different departments and different people have different different emotional reactions, different language you have to approach them at, and that takes you shifting gears all the time, code switching sometimes to articulate what you're trying to say about an incident response or something like that. You know what I mean? So not everybody can do this, And I'm not trying to throw shade at any group of people. It's just it does take a certain level of emotional maturity, and anyone, I think that it's not like a racial thing or something like that. It's just like not everybody has had hard knocks in their life, right, to where they can handle it. I see a lot of military folks. That's why you see them in these positions, because they've been through some shit. They've seen some stuff. They know it's not the end of the world. If something goes wrong, they're like, okay, let's handle this. Let's just try to let's figure out what we can do and stuff like that. So not for everybody, but if you can get in this field, it's definitely worth it, because it's one of those things where there's a government shutdown. There's a different administrator, admin leadership that comes in. They want to change everything up. They're not going to get rid of 100% of security. I can tell you that. And security expert says, you make a good point about one's ability to handle stress. I've never hired a senior security person a senior cybersecurity person who hasn't worked at the help desk or incident response and has been able to do it successfully. Yeah, I've noticed like a lot of my more successful cybersecurity people do have a background in like help desk or incident response or something like that. That said, I have seen some I've seen some cybersecurity folks come in who are in a senior position, who have a purely management background, and it's a mixed bag, right? Like some of them don't really know what's going on technically, and that's a problem. So they'll tend to they can't see from the perspective of, say, a system administrator. They can clearly see the perspective of a CEO because they're just like, get it done, go, 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 go. But they don't understand, like, if you're talking to an engineer or a system administrator, somebody who's configuring the system or putting it out, if you've seen from their eyes, you know that it's not just, you don't just turn a button, you don't just flip a button on and then suddenly magically things work, right? You gotta as a matter of fact, sometimes you switch the button on and it makes things worse. So sometimes it just takes a while for them to figure things out, and you can't just switch buttons on and see things working. So it's really good if you coming from a technical background to go into cybersecurity in that order, because it's easier. I'm not saying you can't be successful with it. It's just when you have a technical background, you kind of have an idea of how long things take to work. It's kind of like in Star Trek. You have whenever the old Star Trek, and they would pressure engineering to get things done. Like they're caught in a black hole or something, and they go to Scotty and they're like, Scotty, we got to get this engine going right. You got 2 hours. And Scotty's like, this is going to take as long as it takes. I'm going as fast as I can, but this is going to take as long as it takes every time. He's telling them, because there's so many other things that have to happen. It's not a magic button. And sometimes you can hit something and you destroy everything, and you only see that with experience over time. Things normally, it's not going to take it's not, if you tell somebody and then another thing is, if you tell somebody 1 hour and it takes 3, they are fucking pissed. So sometimes you got to tell them it's going to take 3 hours. And then if you have an idea, it's going to only take 1, but you say, look, you give yourself a buffer just in case things don't go as well as they, and that kind of mindset comes from somebody who was an engineer, somebody who was in the technical field doing help desk or field technician or whatever, Okay, let me see. I got some stuff on here on TikTok. I appreciate you guys chiming in here. Let me see here. I got Vontae says, currently a junior cyber major. What steps would you recommend to get in? Oh, okay. So Vontae, and this goes to any kind of students out there. Same thing I tell everybody on this, and I cannot stress this enough. I'll say it a million times if I have to. It's really, really important that you get experience immediately. And I'm sure you're like, oh, Bruce, how do I get experience? Like, what do I do? Projects is one way, Vontae. Like, projects is one way you can do it. What does that mean? Like, that means setting up. You can set up projects in your house. Like, you can set up a network attached storage in your house. You can set up a firewall in your house, not just the one you get from from the internet provider, but one that you set up yourself. Messing around with you can do software firewalls. You don't have to do like buy one off of Craig's, like what we used to do back in the day, like dating myself, is to buy a hardware version of a router or a switch and then connect all those. You don't even have to do all that these days. Like you could do your own projects on cloud. If you're a cloud engineer, you could do that. But the best ones for you, for a student, is to use the resources of your school, because a lot of times they'll have things that you can do at the school, like work with. The best thing you could do is like one of my followers, one of my friends did, which was to get a student working program. He got involved with a student working program, so he was working with the help desk at the school, and he was getting experience that way. That's one way you could do it. But also, If you could volunteer your time to help them secure their network, or volunteer your time at the school to help them expand their Wi-Fi, or something like internships, anything you can do. Somebody said, try hack me. Yeah, try hack me, hack the box. Hands on you can get to show on your profile, on your resume, or anything like that, to where you can say, listen, this is what I know how to do. Like, I know how to do. This is the kind of, I cannot stress this enough. Anytime I've leveled up in my career, for me going from a GRC person to a cloud person, for me going from a GRC to a Unix admin, from a GRC person to a cybersecurity analyst, I did all these things. And the way that I did it was to do projects. And every time I did that, I was able to level up. I was able to shift gears, go into another part of cybersecurity, go into another part of IT, because I had hands-on. Like, at some point, you got to touch a computer. You got to touch a computer and do some stuff, do a project. And these days, it's way easier to get those projects under your belt. So I cannot stress this enough. If you are a student right now, a degree, that piece of paper is not going to be the thing. That you can't just show them a piece of paper and then suddenly you get a job, especially in this environment. It's super competitive now. You want to be able to come in and show them, here's what I can do for you. Oh, you guys have this tool. You guys have Cisco routers. I know how to back those up. So yes, I'll have to do some on-the-job training, but I've done that before. So it's your router, your switches are in good hands, because I know how to do that. I have some at my house. I do it all the time. You want to be able to say that kind of thing, right? So get the experience before you get out. Certs are good. I'm not telling you don't get a degree. Degrees are awesome. Certifications are awesome. There's some in particular are better than others. No doubt about that. But the best thing you can do is experience. Experience is king in this field. You want to be able to show that you can hit the ground running, and you got to be able to show what you can do for them. So that's what you want to do. Get hands-on immediately, right now. That's something you could do right now. Somebody said, so GRC is entry level? No, it's not entry level. It's not entry level. I'm not saying that. Usually I'm not, and just to give you some context, can you get into GRC as entry level? Do they have some positions? Yeah, they do. Do I know some people who went straight from one field directly into GRC? Yes, but they're usually special situations. One person you can check out who's done this, who's an excellent dude, like great content. I interviewed him. We talked together a couple times. His name is Tech Woke. His name's Chris. Go to Google if you want to look for him. I think he's on TikTok too. Young dude. Just type in Tech Woke and you'll find him. Super smart brother. So you can check that. That guy went from an entry level position directly into GRC, but that's pretty rare. This dude had a master's degree. He had a security plus. He had a security clearance, which is hard to get. But he also lives in the East Coast. Like, he had all of these things that helped them to get into that entry level position. So I would say overall, GRC is not an entry level position. There's ways you can get in. I would say that a couple advantages you could do would be to, if you happen to be in certain fields that need a GRC person, one would be healthcare industry. If you happen to have been a nurse for some time, or you were a caregiver and you had to work with HIPAA a lot, so you know HIPAA really well, you might be able to transition into GRC work. And the reason why I say that is because you could just do a little bit of IT, improve your IT background, or get IT under your belt, get those fundamental skills, and then you already got the HIPAA part down, and you probably have exposure to some of the more popular software that they use in healthcare, like Epic, and there's a few others, some medical devices that they use that are specialized, that I have having very little experience in healthcare, have very little exposure to these medical devices, where you have probably been working with them every day. You might have some understanding of how HIPAA could be implemented on those medical devices. I mean, am I right or wrong? Think about it. And another industry would be financial sector, because they also have some kind of specialized software and tools that they use mostly in their field. So you might be able to get to GRC there if you've been in that field. There's other ones too, manufacturing. Another one would be the critical infrastructure, utilities. They have like a special. I remember one time I went for an interview at a utilities company, and they were like, "Do you have experience with utilities?" And I said, "No." And they were like, "That was it. That was the end of the interview." You know what I mean? So let me see. I got some more folks on TikTok here. I'm not ignoring you guys. I just got a lot of folks chiming in. Merry shutdown. Happy shutdown for everyone. I kind of started it with that. It's really a pain in the ass to deal with, and it's very stressful, especially for people who are getting threatened with furloughs and stuff like that. It's really no laughing matter, to be honest with you. It's a disaster. It sucks, but this is an opportunity to vent. If you have problems with it, I'm here. I'm here for you. Pluto says, if I have a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity from the UMGC, University of Maryland, I don't know, UMGC, what are some of the certs that will help me? Number one, Pluto, I would say first thing first, the best thing you can get is experience. I will tell you about the certs. I'm not copping out from that, but the best thing you can get is, and the reason why I want to preface this, what I'm about to tell you about certs with experience, because people put certs on like some kind of pedestal. I like certs. I'm a huge advocate of certifications. I have some myself. They've helped me to get jobs and stuff. But what's the biggest thing that helps you is experience. The last couple jobs I've been in, they don't even ask about my certs. It's there. It's on the paper. They didn't validate it, nothing. They want to know what skills I had. They want to know what I have done in those organizations. And so the experience, you need to put that first. Get experience, get your hands on a computer, do some projects, do something where you could say, yes, I did X and the result was Z. You know what I mean? Like, you need to be able to show that. Okay, that's it. That's out of the way. You have a bachelor's degree. First of all, congratulations. You know, I'm not one of these people saying don't get one. I think it's very it's going to make you more competitive. So what certifications would I recommend? There's levels to this. There's levels to certifications. And one of the best, let me give you a great resource that I show people here once a month or so. It's called Paul. This dude did an awesome on this site. Paul Jeremy Roadmap. One of the best resources online. PaulJeremy.com. Spelled kind of weird, but let me just show you what I'm seeing here. This is a great way to explain how certs work. Let me see if I can show you guys on my screen here. Okay, so this is PaulJeremy.com. If you just go to Google or Bing or whatever and type in Paul Jeremy roadmap, it'll take you to the security certification roadmap. And the way he breaks this out is really, really good. From the bottom to the top, you have expert to intermediate to expert. Sorry, beginner to intermediate to expert, going from bottom to the top. So these certifications get progressively harder and more complex as you go to the top, right? Then these different colors indicate different aspects of cybersecurity. Because cybersecurity is a huge umbrella. It's not just one thing. From the green, you have communication and network security. And then you have IAM, identity and access management certifications. Then you have security architecture and engineering. Then you have asset security, and it goes into the black, which is marked as security and risk management. And then you've got risk assessment testing, you've got software security, and then you've got a huge one, which is security operations. Now, there's a lot of overlap between these two, but between all of these, sorry, not two, all of these different ones. But I just give you an idea of like what we're dealing with. Let me talk about one that everybody knows about. So this one in the black is security and risk management. Just to give you an example, in the middle lane, you have GRC topics, and a beginner certification might be, they cite one called at the very bottom here, ITIL Foundations in black. So ITIL is a basic certification to start with. I think it's like a 25 question test. It's very, very easy from what I've heard. I just think it's pretty expensive for what you get out of it. It's $383. And I think you got to take their training or something. I don't know. But it's a very, very low level cert that's very well known. But as you go to the up a little bit more, you got Security Plus. Security Plus is an entry level security certification, but it's very, very marketable and very, very well known. It's going to break down all the basic things that you need to know. So if you're at that level, so think of this in terms, Pluto, of levels. So if you are absolutely brand new and have not touched a computer before, probably these lower tier ones would be good for you. Like if you're really trying to learn something from scratch, and there's no shade from people who are learning this. I've taken these low level certifications. I got a couple of these low level certifications where I just didn't know the topic. Like that's how I started with cloud. Like I don't know the topic. I want to start from scratch. And right here, if you go to the cloud section here, that's under security architecture engineering, they got AWS. So AWS CCP is listed as one of these bottom ones because it's a very easy certification. It's just telling you what the services are, and that's what you're taking the test on, right? But as we go up, you got Security Plus. And then you go up a little further, you got GSEC, which is from the SANS organization, very respected, well-known organization. You've got the SSCP, which is also still underneath intermediate certification. Let's move on to intermediate. So intermediate has some certs that are more specified, more specialized in like the CGRC, which I have the certification. Not particularly hard because it's probably not hard to me because I have so many years of experience in this topic right here, which is what I teach and what I've been doing for many years. And as we move up past intermediate, we get into things like the CASP Plus. You're getting into expert mode, and you go into CISSP. So to answer your question, it depends on where you're at. I guess that's what I'm trying to say here, is it really depends on where you're at to show you where you need to go for this. Let me see if I can switch this back, man. What are you doing, brother? Yeah, it depends on where you want to go with it. I would say with a bachelor's degree, if you have a very strong grasp of IT and cybersecurity, just go straight for the Security Plus. If you have been doing IT like help desk for some time, you've already had a job in the field for like 3-4 years, you probably want to just go straight to CISSP. Because CISSP takes, I think you have to have 5 years of experience to even sit for the test. But you can be, somebody can vouch for you. And I think if you have a certain level of experience, you still be able to get that certification, even if you only have 3 years of practical hands-on experience. So it depends on where you're at, but the ones that are most marketable depending on what you want to do. I would say if you're in the pen testing path, it's going to be CEH. I know people want to hear me say that, but it's extremely marketable. People know what it is. And then the other one would be OSCP. And I think OSCP has a couple levels to it. That's if you're doing pen testing. And then if you're doing basic security stuff, Security Plus. And then if you have 3 or 4 years experience, go straight for the CISSP. There's a few other ones in there that I could recommend that are pretty good. CASP Plus will be one of those. Now it's called Security X, CompTIA Security X. Another one will be CISA is dope certification. CISM is also a dope certification. Very marketable. People know what it is, stuff like that. If you are doing, what other certs would I recommend? It depends on what you're trying to do. Like there are certs that are specialized in GRC work. There's one called the CGRC. It's okay. I would get Security Plus or the CISSP instead, because CGRC is a little bit more specialized for people who are doing the NIST 800. So, all right, let's see what else we got here. Appreciate you guys' questions. Thanks for watching. Let me see. Security expert says, I got into cyber by volunteering with my school. There you go. They were more than happy to let me to help for free. That's the way you get experience right there. It's one of the ways. Another question from YouTube, and I was doing a soft skill certification at the time. Right. So he's saying, hey, I was doing psychology major, and he was helping around with cybersecurity stuff, and then that's how he got experience while in school. So that's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of stuff I'm speaking on right there. Like that experience goes a long, long way, and I'm just surprised more of my peers don't talk about that. Like people who are on these things talking. Experience is super, super important. Like it's so important. I think maybe because the thing that gets us views is certs. Like if you keep talking about certifications, and that's what people want to hear. I'm trying to steer you away from stuff just people want to hear, but that's why I don't get very many. It might be because also my videos are too boring, but I'm somebody who's working in the field. I don't have time to do these all day long or every day. I would like to, but I'm actually working in the field, so I do this on the weekdays, and I'm telling you guys the truth about what is happening in this industry. That's why I'm not on the hype train for some of these things. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing, and then reporting live, on what I'm seeing. That's what I'm doing. What is the link? What is your link? Oh, if you want to see this kind of stuff, most of my stuff pops up on YouTube, ConvoCourses. Just go to YouTube, type in Convo, like conversation, ConvoCourses. You can also go to ConvoCourses.com. Login.convocourses.com is where we talk all the time. Like we're talking all the time about this, and a lot of the videos that I'm doing or the conversations I'm having is coming from my community, where they're saying, "Hey, Bruce, could you talk about this? Hey, Bruce, could you do an interview with this person? Hey, Bruce, like I have a question about this particular thing," and then I'll just go ahead and talk about it. And more what I want to do is have you guys come on here, and then you guys talk, and I'm just there watching or talking with you. So that's kind of the direction I'm about to go with this. So if you want to be a part of this, go to ConvoCourses.com. And right now I'm having something special going on where I just did a new course called GRC Roadmap. So GRC Roadmap is based off of the questions that I've been getting from TikTok and from YouTube, where people are asking, man, I'm in this field. I'm a healthcare professional. How can I do GRC? I'm a teacher and I want to do GRC. How can I get from here to there? And so I made a course. I actually wrote a whole book about it. It's out there on Amazon. It's doing pretty good. But I made a whole course of video of this whole thing and broke it all down. So for a limited time, what I'm going to be doing is, if you're interested in this, go to ConvoCourses.com. You'll find the course there. Sign up for it, and I will personally create you I can't do this for 100 people, right? I don't know how many people I can do this for. So I might even have to take this part of the video down. I'm being very careful about how I don't want this to be like something I've signed myself up for other forever type things, and I don't want to do that anymore. So listen, if you sign up for it now, it's a membership fee. It's $38 per month. You do this, I'm going to help you to create a roadmap for you. Larry, you are not allowed to sign up. You already have access. Okay, so this is not for you. I'm going to help you to create a roadmap from wherever you happen to be. If you're a teacher, if you whatever you are, I'm going to tell you the truth about how you can get from here, from where you are now, to doing GRC work. Let me just give some caveats to you. Okay, this is not for everyone. GRC work is for everyone. I know that the elevator speech on it is that it's cybersecurity with no technical stuff. There's technical parts to it. It's not entry level. They do expect you to know stuff, right? That said, what I'll do is give you a roadmap. How can you get from here to there? You can still get there. Like you're an electrician, you're a teacher or whatever. You have no IT experience. What I'll do is I'll say, look, let's figure out where you have GRC exposure, because all of us have some level of GRC. Most of us have some level of GRC exposure, believe it or not. Because if in your field, you have had to sign things for policies, you have had, whenever you've had to sit down for a briefing on what's the policy at that organization or what you can and can't do with this particular point of sale device, or if they gave you a computer or a laptop or a mobile device or whatever, and you had to sign something, waiver or whatever, all of that is part of their security policy. So you have exposure to it. When I was a bookshelver in the library, one of the things that we had to go through was they told us, like, you're not allowed to do certain things. I was just shelving books, mind you. And they said, look, every patron here at this library has privacy. Here's what you are allowed to do and not allowed to do with their private information when they're searching for books on our systems. They actually had a policy that was enacted by California law. Oh, it was in California. And that right there was GRC. That was GRC. That was personally identifiable information protection. And that came from a law in California. Off the top of my head, I can't cite it. So anyway, GRC roadmap, what it's going to do is it's a monthly subscription. What I'm going to do is walk you through how you can get from here to there. Now, it is a 7-hour course. So it's more of a resource to you. Like, you go through the course, of course, but it's a resource that you can go back to. And you get the book that comes with it. It is over 100 short videos that just get straight to the point on each topic. What I'm doing with GRC is explaining it using a real world framework, because that's what you use to implement GRC. Is you use standards, laws, and you use frameworks to explain what an organization does. So what I do is I take a real framework and I say, look, this is how it works. Here's how this part of the framework works. Here's how, and by the end of it, you will definitely understand the NIST CSF 2.0. And while we're going through it, we're going to show you, I'm going to show you how you can go from here. And you might even already have experience in GRC. This is not a promise that it's not get rich quick. It's not, you're going to get a job right after. That's not what we're doing here. We're building you up so you can get into this field. And the great thing about GRC is that even when there's a shutdown, I'm a mission essential worker. I'm in cybersecurity. Every time there's a shutdown, I'm still working. So it's definitely some benefits to doing this. It's not for everybody, but for those of you who are really serious about this, go to ConvoCourses.com. Go ahead and check it out. You get like I said, downloadable book comes with it. If nothing else, you get that. I'm going to personally walk you through a breakdown of how you can get from here to there in a realistic way, actually absolutely real to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat them and tell you, like, look, you need to learn this, and here you're going to do this. You're going to get this certification, things like that. Let me see here. I got plenty of more offers coming. If that's not for you, I've got more stuff coming. We got free stuff in there as well. I'm going to be pumping out a ton of free stuff that I've got on my old site. I'll be moving it over so you can still come to ConvoCourses.com and join our group. Just chit chat with us for free. It's all about us helping one another out. That's what the whole thing is. That's the whole reason I did it. That's the purpose behind it all. So join us. Somebody said, I'm studying for the CGRC. Well, congratulations. I have that one. What you want to focus on is the NIST 853 and the NIST 837, the NIST 830. Those are like the main documents that they're going to test you on, and how to implement those things. It's going to be mostly about that stuff. So just focus on that, and I think you'll be good. I would definitely take some courses on it too. That might help you out. Larry says, I was normally still working during the previous shutdowns as well. Then that abrupt unknowingly changed this past week. Hashtag furlough. Oh, man, you know what? Shouldn't be laughing about that. It's crazy because there's been so many. If I wasn't laughing, I'd be crying. There's been so many insanely illogical moves that they've been doing with all of this stuff. As somebody working in this sector, in this industry, the government industry or sector, or whatever you want to call it, there's been so many abrupt changes that that don't make any sense. That are losing really good talent, that make it so that the one safe haven that we as Americans had working for the federal government, or I guess you still have the state government, but working for the federal government has been one of those things where I was always telling people, like, listen, if you have a family, if you want stability, go work for the federal government. There's so many changes right now that don't make any sense that I'm not saying that anymore. I can't say that without lying. Because I don't know what they're doing with this. I'm not sure where they're going. There's just too much politics being played. It's not a safe haven anymore. Yeah, I hate to say that. I really hate to say that. I've been an advocate for working for the government, and now I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know anymore. I can't say that it's that. It pains me to say that. I want to be proud of this industry that I work for, but it just doesn't make any sense anymore. It doesn't make any sense. And I've been thinking to myself, like, what can I do? What can we as Americans do to hedge against this kind of thing? And the only thing I think of is start your own business, do work from anywhere jobs that we can just, you don't have to rely on one government. You don't have to rely on your state government. You can move to another place if you need to, a place with lower cost of living, because the cost of living is out of control. Not just within the states, but maybe in another country. A work from anywhere job where you can just go work somewhere else, and then have skills that are not replaceable, like cybersecurity, like essential jobs that you can't get rid of it. Like cybersecurity is one of those jobs where it's like somebody's gonna have to look at this malware. Somebody's gonna have to protect this firewall. You just can't have somebody. You can't. That's one of those jobs you can't just walk away from. So, though, I mean, that's what I'm just telling you guys what I've been doing. It's been working so far, but I'm trying to take it a little bit further, and that is going to take some doing. I don't know if it'll work, to be honest with you, but I'm going to a place where I'll be able to work anywhere on planet Earth, maybe I won't make as much, but I think I'll be okay with that if I'm working in a place with a lower cost of living, and then have some income here in the U.S. somehow, but working in somewhere that's lower cost of living. That's kind of the direction I want to go. Larry says, does this new training have interaction with the new CMMC framework? Are there points at which there is crossover. No, I focus entirely. I don't do anything with CMMC. Maybe that's something I've been asked a few times, and so maybe I'll take a look at it, especially if that's the direction the DoD is about to go. Yeah, I'll definitely be taking a very strong look at it if that's the direction the federal government's about to go. And it sounds like after listening to Professor Black Ops and some others, it sounds like that might be something they're about to do. So maybe in the future, but right now this one just focuses on NIST CSF, breaking it down for the purpose of getting them. And he's talking about the GRC roadmap. This is a course that I just created that has 7 hours of video, and it's got over 100 videos where it's essentially the book GRC roadmap that I wrote, and I made it into a video, like a whole 7-hour video where I'm walking you through every part of it. That right there is GRC. That book is a great breakdown of what GRC is. If you've been wondering like what kinds of things you do, what's the mindset of the organization, how do they implement it, that's what I'm walking you through. CMMC is something, it's a different framework, and I have not touched on that, but maybe if that's something the direction of the government, then that's something I might do in the future. Yeah, it's pretty much the wild, wild west. Yeah, it just doesn't make any. I mean, I think even during other administrations, I've been doing government work for a long time. It does get political. I mean, what I mean to say is some of the direction that we go in is coming from the highest levels, coming from it's coming from the executive branch. It's coming from the president. It's coming from DOJ. If you work for the Department of Justice, if it's coming directly from the mandates from them. So not political is probably not the right word for it. It's their direction. That's the direction that this department is going to go because they said so. And that's fine. I don't always work for, administrations that I agree with. When I was in the military, I didn't agree with half the stuff they did. Even the presidents I liked don't always make the best decisions, in my opinion. But they had some kind of like clue of what they're doing. They had a direction they were going to go. This one's pretty incompetent. They're doing some really strange, incompetent things. So much so that I'm afraid to even speak out. Like if my name is attached to something, that I'll say something, they will fire me for a comment I made. That's going directly against the First Amendment, but they don't care. It's stuff like that. And it's like, what is going on? Like what is going on with these people? Like, the decisions they're making don't make any sense. And that's just I am totally open to have a conversation with somebody who disagrees with me and explain to me why this is happening or what good is going to come out of it. Because the only good I see is that we're going to very clearly see which direction some parts of the U.S. wants to go. Security expert says, after I helped fix the library's ongoing tech problem for free on several occasions, they eventually offered me a job. I wasn't expecting a job out of it. I thought it was fun. I was doing it for fun. Man, that kind of mindset right there is also the same mindset I had in the military. I was in the military. I was a glorified security guard. I was a security forces member. I was a MP in the Air Force, and I did that for 5 years. I did it for 5. That was my profession. I could have got out and became a police officer, FBI. I could have became an agent. Like I had the skills, but it's not what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do was computers. Like I was programming things for fun. I was taking my computer apart and putting it back together, adding things to it. I was doing it for fun. And then I realized, like, what do I want to do when I get out of the military? I want to do computers. And so I cross-trained. I asked around how it could be done, and I cross-trained from being a police officer in the military to doing computers. And so yeah, that's the mindset. Like you have to have a strong desire because not all parts of it were stuff I liked. Like, for example, when I first got into IT stuff, I was really interested in doing software engineering. I didn't want to do anything else. I discovered there were other things that I really liked. I started by doing software engineering. I was messing around with BASIC on my own. I was self-taught learning BASIC, if you guys remember what that is, right? Then when I started getting deeper into it, I realized nobody uses BASIC anymore. It's from the 80s. Nobody uses BASIC. They use something called C plus, and I started doing that for fun, like in school and stuff. And it was hard. I was like, damn, this is way harder than BASIC. And I could do it, but it just wasn't. It's kind of like cooking. Everybody can cook, but not everybody can cook. You know what I mean? Like everybody can put a pot on the stove, and put water in the pot and turn the stove on and put some noodles in it. But now everybody can make some beef minestrone, that mom used to make, what I mean? So anyway, yeah, I started trying to program and I wasn't very good at it. And it just took me way longer to learn it. I realized, okay, I don't think I want to do this. It's object oriented programming. I'm not good at it. It's not fun. And for me, and so as I went deeper into it, when I cross-trained, I learned all this other stuff. I learned about different operating systems. I learned when I saw Unix for the first time, it was like I fell in love. I was like, damn, this is incredible. And then networking was another one. I started getting into that. So I started doing networking for like a while. I was a network engineer for some time. And so it kind of evolved. Like over time, I kind of evolved my career and my skill set. Larry says, curious about the earning potential for somebody in GRC. In most technical positions, there seem to be a straight path to go higher levels of pay, 150K plus. Is that the path of a GRC being a CISO or a CIO, etc.? So more technical straight path goes to a. So what is I guess the question is, curious about the earning potential of someone in GRC. So the earning potential is pretty high, I would say, because a GRC professional can go straight into, if you work your way into like a management position, and from GRC, you can do that. GRC is making you, it's having you see the big picture of an organization. So there is a path, and there's a lot of my peers that do this, where they work themselves into management positions, and management positions pay really well. They play, especially like upper level management. Those guys are pushing like 200, like 180, 170, in that area, just doing management type stuff on up. And but that's you're not going to get that overnight. They have a lot of different requirements that they're looking for. They typically, especially in this field we're in, they usually want you to have a master's degree. You're competing with other guys with master's degrees with many years of experience that are also wanting those jobs. So I'm just speaking from like what I've seen my peers do. I've not done management jobs. I haven't been interested in it, but a few of my peers, my mentors and stuff, do have these positions, and those guys. Hold on. I apologize for this. This is TikTok is trying to get me to verify this. So yeah, some of my peers, I'm not pocket watching or anything, but I know they make a lot more money than me. So if I had to take a stab at how much they make, and some of the conversations we had and stuff, it's around 180 to 200, right? I know for sure one of my coworkers who went to management type positions is making like 180 plus with everything, with benefits, and it's purely cybersecurity risk manager. That guy's making it like 180 with all the benefits and stuff, and that's a work from anywhere job. As a manager, we have to sit in like sales calls and stuff like that sometimes, but he was making like 180, pushing 200 with everything. And they also had some really good 401k benefits too. 180. There's another path with GRC. Having stuck where I'm at, I've kind of hit like a ceiling of around, if I'm willing to put it to you like this, if you're willing to move to an area like the DMV area, that's the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, those guys, first of all, that area pays much more. They have more jobs for what we do GRC, but they're going to require you to work in the office, and you're going to have a security clearance of some type, a high security clearance. Those guys are making 200, but they're doing regular information system security officer work. You could pull like 180 without management or anything like that, but you're in an office, all that kind of stuff. So there's that path. The path that's the highest is manager. Like if you from GRC and being like leveling up from going into management positions, yeah, you can get pushed 200 in that job. If you're, of course, CIOs, CISOs, they a lot of times come from GRC roles, because like I said, I think the reason why is because you end up seeing the bigger picture, and you have to see from the perspective of the whole organization. That's governance. So yeah, I would say that's kind of the cap. If I would say if you wanted to go a whole nother direction where you going above that, like going, 200,000-300,000, like those types of people that you're hearing about, those are extremely technical jobs for FANG. And FANG is a little bit more. FANG is Meta, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, those kinds of positions. Those pay more because they're going to pay you a bunch of stock options and stuff. They're volatile right now. Like they're all over the place. And it kind of depends on what's going on with the stock market and where you live and things like that. But those guys pay really, really high levels of pay. I have not worked for any of those organizations, but from my understanding, that's what's going on with it. That's why they pay that much, because they're paying you a bunch of stock options. But they do pay a high amount. Like that's a whole different field. And I know that there's some cloud architects that are pulling that kind of money. There's some developers, like high level developers, making that kind of money. So that's a whole different path. That said, GRC, there was a GRC job for Meta that was paying like 180, 190. So regular ISO job. I applied for it, didn't get that one. Let me see here. Got some folks chiming in here. I'm going to get through as many of these as possible. Security expert says, while tech skills can get you into C-suite, staying requires adding business soft skills. Absolutely. A tech GRC combo is valuable. That combo will get you there and help you stay there. Absolutely, I agree with that. At some point, you gotta sharpen those soft skills. Most of my peers who made it to the director level, right? I'm to an age where I'm seeing some of my peers get to that director level that are making that crazy money. Like they're making that 200 plus type money. And those dudes have some really good soft skills, man. They have some ridiculous soft skills. The dude who was on here before, Rob Rodriguez, right? My mentor, on a different stratosphere with soft skills, man, on a different level. You got to see it to believe it. Like you got to see it. But that guy, soft skills off the charts, and technical skills, ridiculous, right? He has both, and having both of those will put you in a position where you can always get those kinds of positions. So the soft skills is very important, like you said. Like you can't just be super good at just programming or just networking. I've met people like that who are idiot savants at that one thing, but they're not good at talking to people. And those guys don't do well in management positions, man. Any kind of even supervisor positions, they're not good at them. You got to have some really good soft skills to get those, to get them and keep them, to get those kinds of positions. So I agree with you. Basically, in GRC, can you still be a worker and earn that much, or do you inevitably have to become more embedded in a managerial type positions? I got to be honest with you, Larry. Most of the positions I've seen my peers level up, like really level up, was management type roles. They would go from like a supervisor role and then be ushered in or trained or pulled into a manager type role. And then that's when they start making that big leap in money. But your question is, can you still remain a worker? That's where I'm at. I'm a regular worker. And what I've learned is this: I'm having to level up my technical prowess in order to do that. In this last transition to this current job I'm at, I learned something extremely valuable. The market has shifted. For what I do, I've hit a cap. I can't just, if I'm not willing to do a manager type position, I'm going to have to be a principal engineer, an architect or something like that. And that requires me to have a level of technical prowess and skill set that I didn't have before. There's certain things that they need in the direction that I'm going that I have to attain those skills. I'm coming from a principal information system security officer, meaning I was already at a high level. And this is not to brag. I'm just telling you exactly what happened, right? And it's not a bragging. I don't have bragging rights. Like I'm not making those astronomical numbers like some of the other YouTubers are. I'm making regular ass money, right? I mean, it's probably more than most people make, but it's not like an astronomical amount of money. I am exactly this comment you just made, like GRC, can you still be a worker and earn that much? That's where I'm at right now. Yes, you can. So as I was going for these jobs, trying to look for another job, I realized to make that 150 plus, there's a skill set that a lot of organizations are looking for. They're looking for like an architect. That's a pretty highly skilled person in one area, like really deep and wide in one area. For example, like an architect in cloud, or like those guys make that kind of money, or like an architect in network engineering with a security background, something like that, like a CCNP, or those guys make that kind of money. And actually some of my peers are doing exactly that. But GRC, Yes, but what they're doing is what they're wanting is a GRC person who can also do these technical things. That's what they're looking for. And so then they'll pay you that. It's like you have to be a GRC person with X. That's what I learned. And one of the just to name a couple other ones besides cloud architect and network, they want you to be GRC plus network engineer security master, or GRC plus cloud architect, or another one that I saw over and over again is GRC DevSecOps, meaning a security guy who works with developers. Those are a couple things. There's a few other ones. It was a highly specialized GRC person that is making that kind of money. So the answer to your question is yes, you can do it. And that's kind of what I'm aiming for right now. I'm working on. And it's definitely within striking distance. Larry says, I've been told that because I'm more traditional and non-technical, but have a leadership experience, a tech PM experience, plus 2 master's degrees that are going more technical would be a waste and conflicted. I don't know about that. I don't think that having a technical background is going to hurt you. I don't think that being more technical is going to hurt you. I think what it'll do, just going off of what I've seen, I think what it'll do, Larry, is the next time you put your resume out there, right? When you're able to show that you have hands-on experience with something technical, some kind of tool or some kind of skill set or whatever, what'll happen is, mark my words, you're going to get approached by an organization that's willing to pay you good money because you have the background in program project management and the leadership skills. And then they're gonna focus in and target one skill that you also have, some kind of technical skill. I'm saying this because this will happen to me a couple times in this current role that I'm in, which is more technical, even more technical than I was before, hands-on, everything. What happened was, not only did they need the GRC stuff, but they focused in on this one tool I knew. They focused in on one tool that I knew really well. And then also I said, oh, by the way, I also know these other. Oh, you guys use those tools? Yeah, I also am very familiar with those. And I also know this tool. And they're like, oh, you know this, right? It was a scanning tool. It was a SIEM. And then there was like a cybersecurity asset tool. I knew these 3 tools. Like I knew how to use them, and I got really, really deep on one. And I started explaining to them how deep I got on it. And they were like, bet. And that's how, and then I got the job. I think the same thing will happen to you. Once you get that technical know-how, what I'm saying is somebody needs that skill. You just don't know who it is yet. That's what happened to me. Somebody needs that skill, but you gotta list it on your resume. You gotta list what tools, technical tools that you've used for scanning or for SIEM or for if you know networking or you did some project for it. There'll be some job that needs both. I know it sounds crazy, but this just happened to me. They needed a GRC dude who also had this technical skill, this technical thing right here. And then they were like, this is the guy right here. That's him. And now I'm here, I'm like, I see why. Now I see why. It didn't make sense before, but now that I'm here, I'm like, it's their environment. They've got some gaps. And so they need me to, and so that's what'll happen. But you got to put it, if you don't put it on the resume, how the hell do they know that you have that skill set? I don't think it's a waste, because like I said, they'll see that and then they'll be like, yeah, we need a manager who understands how this thing works. Because especially in this field that we're like in GRC and project management, sometimes you're dealing with organizations. You might deal with an organization who needs you to understand a little bit deeper. They need you to understand a little bit more about the technical aspect, because they don't want somebody who's going to be in there and somebody can just BS them about a project and say, oh, it's going to take this long. But you already know how network engineering works a bit. So you're like, well, what about this? And they need somebody to ask those questions. What about this and that? You know, why is it taking you guys this long? Shouldn't it be, once we give you the IP addresses, shouldn't you be able to just implement them on there? And then they explain why. Nope, because we have to do port security on it, or whatever it is, right? And you'll be like, oh, okay, I got it. And then you'll be able to explain that back to the managers and say, look, they're doing port security. That's why they need more time or whatever. So I don't think it's a waste of time to get those technical skills. It's kind of like what Rob Rodriguez said when he was talking about, that stuck with me. He said, you don't just go and get certifications, right? Do something that is for you. Like when you learn it for yourself. And then once you get that skill, you advertise it, by putting it on your profile, your resume. I have this skill now. I know this thing. I did this project, and this is how. Somebody sees that and they say, we need somebody who knows that thing. We need somebody who knows that, but we also need somebody who is a project manager. They need to understand this, because they got to talk to these people over here and not be BS'd, or be able to explain to upper level management. I can't tell you how many awesome managers I had who were technical. And they didn't have to be that deep. They just need to understand what we're talking about, so they wouldn't. So they'd be able to talk. They understand what's going on. They could explain it to upper level managers, or somebody at upper level managers. They can go down and talk to the technical guys and explain, here's what we need to do, guys. So I personally don't think it's a waste. I think it's great. I think it's, the more you know is the better. And Security Expert says, I have zero interest in working as a C-level exec. I'll save the CSO, the CIO jobs for others. The C-suite involves a significant amount of politics, and I ain't got the time for that. I agree. I just don't like it. I'm just not. A bit of management is great, but too much of it for me is just like, it just feels, some of it feels like a waste of time. And I hate to say that, but I just don't. I want to get the work done, and sometimes the politics is in the way of that from time to time. Some of the other stuff you got to do. If I had $1 for every time I've heard that from a coworker, I'd retire. Yeah, I personally am not interested in doing that aspect of. I've been trying to avoid that, and I know okay. I know that's where the money is, but and another thing, I'm trying to work from anywhere. Like I would take a C-suite job if I could work from anywhere. Actually, I would do that. So I guess I'm open to it in that aspect. All right, I'm gonna take a couple more comments here. At 45, acquiring the tech can feel like I'm running in quicksand at times. I wish I was a tech whiz kid from young, but that just isn't me. I have a passion for it now, but it's not second nature. I'm the same way, Larry. It's not second nature to me. I just really like it. I know it's not second nature to me, because I meet people who it is second nature to, and I'm like, oh shit, how do they understand that so fast? It takes me twice as long to understand something that for them they grew up with. I see that. I see how. I mean, I'm not a chump. Like I know I I know my stuff, but I can see where people are very talented at it, and I can see the gap between me and them, right? Where I close the gap is I'm willing to work and I have patience. But I can clearly see they have a skill that I don't, right? It's kind of like I know how to draw I'm okay, right? I'm better than most people at drawing. But my kid draws way better than me. Has a natural talent. And then I remember being in high school and drawing and being like, I want to become an artist in high school. And then I met somebody who could draw. Well, the first time I met this dude named Ron Lim. If you're a comic book fan, you might remember that name. He drew for Marvel for some time. I think he used to draw. I think he did Amazing Spider-Man for some time. Anyway, I was like 15, 16 years old, and I went to a comic book convention, and I saw Ron Lim at a comic book convention. I think it was in San Francisco, and he, in 5 minutes, drew something that could go directly to a comic book that it would have taken me 3 days to draw that. And then I met another person who could do that in high school, and I'm like, damn, I realized I don't have it. I realized that I just draw for fun. These guys, they draw like it's breathing, but I just mess around. These guys are on another level. And I realized, like, it took me way more effort to get from here to there. And then I kind of was like, I only do it for fun. I don't want to do this as a job. I don't want to go through the pain of getting better to get to where they're at. Does that make sense? And it's the same epiphany that I had with software engineering. Can I do it? Yes. It's fun, but I don't know that I want to do it as a job. I don't know that I want to do it as a job. If I do coding, I want to do it for my own projects for fun. I don't feel like I want to do that every day, 8 hours a day. But with IT, it's different. Like networking and cybersecurity, that's something I feel like I can do all the time, like easily. But I do know and understand that there's a gap between me and some of the other professionals that I've met who are very, very good at what they do. Oh, thanks for the super chat, Larry. Appreciate the Liquid Death Fund. These Saturday conversations, ConvoCourses website community. Yeah, you guys can join the community. By the way, where we continue this conversation. If you guys are interested, join the community. You can go to ConvoCourses.com and find the community there. We talk throughout the week, on and off. Topics pop up. So ConvoCourses.com if you're interested. Larry goes on to say, helping me to learn, but also processing the process and applying what I'm learning, and have hopes of going forward. I appreciate it. Yeah, man, no problem. It's all about the community. That's what it's all about. So please, guys, like, join us. This community. I know we're about to end this here real soon. I've been talking for about an hour and a half, but if you want to join us, keep talking. I'm working as a cybersecurity GRC cloud security engineer. I work for the government. I'm a contractor. That's my space. But we've got other folks who are also doing this stuff. Larry's a project manager in the government. We've got several other folks that are from all branches, all walks of life, who just chit-chatting. And we've been talking for quite some time. So just join us. Am I a federal employee? I'm not a federal employee, but I work directly with federal employees, so I feel their pain. The reason why I called it the government shutdown and calling that out is because this is something that I'm dealing with right now with my government counterparts. And I just wanted to, I don't know how many other people are talking about it from this perspective, but it definitely impacts us. And It's not a fun thing, especially if you are a government worker. It's not funny at all. Because some people they're talking about furloughing people and stuff, which means you just get let go and not paid, which is crazy. What's ridiculous is that the federal government used to be the most secure place to work, and since Doge and all this other stuff, the beginning of the year, just that has changed, unfortunately. And let me see. Mammoth says, are the step-by-step GRC processes included using Excel template? There is a downloadable from the NIST CSF that we go through, that is very comprehensive, a breakdown of NIST CSF, which is GRC. So what I'm doing is I'm teaching you NIST CSF so that you can understand what a real GRC is. Because GRC, people just throw around the word GRC all the time. But what it really means is that we're implementing a framework where we are making an organization compliant with certain regulations and standards and laws. And it could be of a country and of an industry, such as retail, doing PCI DSS or something like that. So what I did was I said, okay, how can somebody really learn GRC? How can I really get you to understand it? And regardless of what industry you happen to be in or what country you happen to be in, how can I really make you understand it? And then I chose NIST CSF. And the reason why is because NIST CSF is a solid breakdown of GRC. It tells you, here's the 5 fundamental things that you really need to know in an organization to implement governance, risk management, and compliance. It breaks it all down. So I wrote a whole book about it, and then I made a video. I made a 7-hour course with over 100 videos in small chunks to help you to understand and break down what GRC really is through the lens of the NIST CSF, a real framework that's used, one of the most popular in the world, actually, NIST CSF. You've got other frameworks such as HIPAA in the US. That's the healthcare organization, what they use to secure hospital systems. You've got PCI DSS, which is what any retailer uses. If they're using credit cards, they have to use that. In the US government, they use something called NIST CSF, and they have a few other ones, but the main one is NIST CSF or NIST 800 risk management framework. So different industries have different focuses on security to protect the organization's confidentiality, integrity, and availability, meaning how we keep their stuff secret, confidentiality. How do we make sure that the message that we sent is the same message that is received on the other side? That's integrity, like encryption, things like that. And then how do we make sure that there's availability? Meaning if we are giving information to our employees or to the public, how do we make it so that it doesn't get hit with a denial of service attack and where nobody can see it, or making sure that it's out there the way it's intended to be out there. So what I'm doing is explaining GRC in a real world, through the lens of a real world framework. That's the purpose of it. And I think the main takeaway of the GRC roadmap is I want you to walk away with a clear understanding of what you need to do to get into GRC. That's my main focus. And so that you have a very clear understanding of what GRC is, what it looks like. So you can go to any organization and know, okay, how are they detecting anomalies, right? How are they securing data? What are they doing to make sure the data is not escaping off the network and going somewhere? What are they doing to protect that information? So you know what is missing when you go to an organization. Like every time I go to another organization, I start to see where the skeletons are hidden, you know? So it's way beyond just a Excel spreadsheet. It's got a lot of downloadables. There's a lot of things for you. Get a free book with it, but also I'm going to personally walk you through. By the time you walk away from it, you're going to have a very clear understanding of where to go, how to get there. That's a subscription based thing. I'm not, that's not for, I obviously can't do it for 6,000 people who are following me or whatever. So I got to have a subscription on it. All right, let's see. And you ask, how I have done a couple GRC training, especially NIST, ISO, and PCI DSS, but it's been hard to get a job for a while now. I just don't have real job experience except projects and internship. Well, join the group. This is not, as much as I would love for you to join the GRC roadmap, join the group for free. Just jump in the group for free. This might be something the group can help out with. Go on the group, ask questions. There's tons of people way smarter than me. The collective amount of experience that we have in GRC is mind-blowing. And there's not that many people on there. But just talking to this group, it's just a great way to learn. I mean, even myself, I found myself learning a whole bunch of stuff. Last week, Larry got on here, started talking about project management. That's not my skill set. So I learned some things from that. How do I join the group? So you join the group by going to ConvoCourses.com. Go to ConvoCourses.com. You'll see some free stuff. You'll see some of my books, and you'll see right on the top, join. Hit that button and then join us and ask questions. We continue this conversation on that group, and that's why I created it, because we would do these once a week, but then there'd be more great conversations going. So now we can just talk throughout the week whenever. ConvoCourses.com. If you happen to be on YouTube, ConvoCourses, search it there. But the group is the best way to really talk to us directly. We got free stuff. I'm going to be putting out a ton of free content, downloadables, and course stuff that's I actually have it on another site. I'm just going to try to consolidate all my stuff to one place, downloadables, everything. Yep, no problem. Where can I find the videos? And do you do resume help? Yeah, I get this question a lot. So I think that what I'll do if you join the we got two things here. Let me explain. Okay, you've got the group. It's completely free. ConvoCourses.com. Join us for free. Just get on there, ask any question you want. Okay. If you want deeper help, if you're very serious about this, you're ready to invest in yourself, you want to shift gears, get into this, you want more a personal touch, GRC roadmap is $38 per month. Now there are other options out there. I can send you to my man Better Everyday Cyber. He's got a program as well. Professor Black Ops is coming up with something. And it's just a matter of if you want to invest in yourself and to get deeper into this, there's options for you, right? And you just have to take actions. But if you want something for free right now, you want to just talk to us, ConvoCourses.com. And will I help with your resume? Man, if you join this $38 a month, it's not going to be just your resume. Like, I'm going to give you a roadmap to get from here to there. I'm going to tell you the honest truth about how you can get there, or if you can, right, from where you're at. And maybe even better alternatives you didn't even think about, because there's other things you can do. Okay, let me see. Unemployment keeps rising. Nothing's cheaper. Bankrupt farms, layoffs, awful job reports. The value of the dollar has significantly weakened 2025, dropping 11%, the biggest decline since 1991. On a positive note, in cybersecurity, I have not been without a job. I haven't been without a job. I do realize that I'm very concerned about the cost of living going higher and higher. I don't have a retirement. This is something I got to think about. But I can tell you this: cybersecurity, learning this skill has made it so that even during the shutdowns, I'm good, and that's why I'm on this thing telling people about it, because it's highly marketable and people need it. So somebody somewhere, if it's not this government, somebody's going to need your skill set. But you got to build that skill set first. So I do, I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. Like, something's happening here, right? It's not, and it's not all good. But there's alternatives. There is a way out. There is a way to level up, regardless of what's happening to our economy. I can't sit here and say I'm going to magically wave a wand and make the dollar stronger, but I can say that I won't be without a job. There's always a way. So somebody said, did you go to school for cybersecurity, or something that is something you picked up after? I actually have a bachelor's degree in information technology with a specialization in networking from the University of Phoenix. So when you get into IT, but that said, right, what means more to me is the experience that I've gathered over the years. The experience is worth its weight in gold. Most of my experience comes from my beginning experience comes from the military, which I did that for like 3-4 years in the military IT. When I got out, I've been working ever since. It's been like 20 plus years that I've been just doing straight up IT work. In IT, I've been doing mostly cybersecurity. I kind of got pushed into cybersecurity. It wasn't something I wanted to do, straight up networking. It's just something I really liked. So I was a Cisco network engineer starting in the Air Force, where I had to set up networks with Cisco routers and switches. I had to back up the config file. I had to, do real world networking, junior level networking stuff. And I wanted to go further in that direction. I didn't really want to do cybersecurity at all. I got pushed into it. And the more I learned about it, the more I liked it. The more it kind of links and touches everything. That's the great thing about cybersecurity. It touches everything. It's not just networking. It's software engineering has to have it. The, DevOps software engineers have to have it. The database guys have to have it. The actual higher ups have to have it. Like, it touches everything. So I learned to love it over time. Now, there's different aspects I love better than others, but I picked it up over time. Somebody said, you don't need school. It's experience and connections that get you high paying jobs. Yeah. School is a good to have, nice to have. Like, a degree it's going to make you very competitive. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. It will make you very competitive when you get in the field. But experience is gold, man. Experience is king. Experience above all that is really what's going to get you in the door. And the extra connections don't hurt. The connections you gather along the way don't hurt. And that's the one thing that school can give you. When you're in school, you can get those connections. So I'm not telling you don't go to school. I'm not telling you to not go to school. But experience is above all that. So even when you're in school, you got to get the experience, I would say. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to continue this conversation, like I said, ConvoCourses.com, absolutely free. There's paid elements that you can get into. Like I said, if you're serious about this, you can do that. But right now, if you're trying to just get into, you just want to talk to us, ConvoCourses.com, and then join the group for free, and then just talk to me. Nope, I work in Fang and I help my buddies get into this with no degree, just experience. Oh, Ramos, man, that's the guy we want to talk to. Ramos got into, how'd you do it, Ramos? Just out of curiosity before I go. How did you get yourself into Fang? Fang, for you guys that don't know, is Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, very high paying. I'm interested because I don't work in that space. I work in government. And so government has a whole different way of getting in. I'm very, very interested in how you got in the first place. He says, somebody asked him, I went to college for a semester and had great grades. I just can't handle homework and debt piling. Yeah, I understand. It's not cheap. And Ramos says that you don't need school, you just need experience. Okay, let me see here. More comments while I'm waiting for Ramos to answer here. All right, okay. No sound detect. Okay. I became friends with the security manager of a credit union and he helped me get in. Oh, nice. And then from there, you just kind of, he endorsed me for my CISSP. Oh, cool. So you got, what field were you in before me? What were you doing before that? I'm just curious. And then from there, I got my C risk and CISA and CCSP. Oh man, that's incredible, man. I love hearing stories like this. A completely different route that I took. So Rama, okay, all right. Before I let you guys go, I'm just interested. So there's a dude here on TikTok saying he's in Fang, which is they get paid, y'all, paid. Um, it's Facebook, Amazon, networking, one of those. I mean, Netflix, one of those gigantic organizations that are super paying people. And he says, I asked him, how did he get into Fang? He said, they were having a conversation about degrees. He was saying, you don't need a degree, you just need experience. And I'm like, well, how did you get in? I'm curious. And then he said, he says, I became friends with a security manager of a credit union and they helped me get in. And then he says, he endorsed me for my CISSP. Then from there, I got my C-RISC and CISA and CCSP. I started working as a server admin at the credit union. Oh, that's awesome. That's incredible. That's an incredible story. Incredible path. Love hearing like a whole different aspect. And it says, Ramos says, I was working for Spectrum, the cable company, right, where I got networking experience. And then I jumped to the credit union. Oh, no shit. That's awesome, man. That is awesome. So that's a great path. I mentioned that to somebody. Somebody said, like, how can I get in? I said, well, damn, you could work for credit. You could work for a like Xfinity or Comcast or one of those guys. Those cable guys have to know some networking. So become a cable guy, do networking, get deeper into the networking aspect of it, get that experience under their belt. And what Ramos says is from there, he start working in the financial sector in a credit union because he knew somebody in the credit union. They pulled him in. He started working there, worked there for some time, and then he got his CISSP. CISSP is no joke, y'all. No joke. On getting jobs, everything. It's incredible for getting your foot in the door just about anywhere. Then he says from there, he got a C-RISC, a CISA, and a CCSP. Became a server admin Right. Believe it or not, the cable company teaches you the fundamentals, true fundamentals of networking and troubleshooting. Yes. How many people did you know had CCNPs or CCIEs there? Yeah, those networking dudes are no joke on troubleshooting, by the way, because the systems that they have to maintain are very complex. And it gets super deep. GRC Queen here. Okay, this is getting crazy, guys. I gotta get the hell off this thing. All right, guys. Look, if you want to continue this conversation, join us on ConvoCourses.com, where we're just talking, just shooting the shit, just like this, talking about experiences, meeting up, stuff like that. So I'm gonna end this thing. We've been talking for about 2 hours. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Larry, for that $20, man. I really appreciate you. And I gotta join here. We'll be talking real soon about the GRC roadmap. I promise you will not be disappointed on that. I'll be working with you one-on-one. And that's it, guys. Thank you guys for joining. I will be talking to you at least next week, I believe. Next week. I don't know what our topic's going to be. Larry, what are we going to talk about next, man? What's our next topic? We'll figure something out, but I'm gonna announce it early, so we're not late or anything. But that's it, y'all. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon. Thanks again, Larry.